All right, now we're going to get into painting part of the cleanup. Um, so open up your Toon Boom Harmony file, and I'm working with the same one as the other tutorials, but pretty much what we got going on here is uh, the I changed and added some layers that I thought would work out better. Like for example, I changed this. Let's see, this this arm of Basil's into far and left arm, and this is one of the things that like you're gonna come to realize uh the inking takes a while and the painting is 5 minutes if that, but what takes a while with painting is that painting shows you it shows you like the mistakes that you made with inking. So I realized that this arm needed to be uh, needed to be above the hand and below the thumb, but I also didn't take into account that this also changes over here. So this arm needs to be above the hand. It needs to be above the thumb, and then it needs to be below the thumb, and then it also needs to be above the arm, and the arm and the thumb are above everything else. So what I changed is I changed this to a near arm, which you can see here, to a near arm and a far arm. And as you can see, I have the invisible lines going on here just so they can overlap well, so you're not seeing any of it. But yeah, that's why I broke these two up, and I think that's about like all I really added from the last tutorials. But super important that you go through and you try to get that stuff figured out before you start painting, because you get frustrated and you realize like, oh my god, like I need to add other layers. I need to fix these layers and stuff, and it'll save you a bunch of time if you figure this out before you start painting. Um, and it'll save you a lot of headache too. All right, so now that I got that out of the way, you're gonna want to grab the paint bucket tool. I'm gonna grab Basil's color palette. But yeah, grab the paint bucket tool. Um, just a heads up, if you ever paint something and you want to unpaint it, don't Control Z it. I would always click unpaint, and unpaint just literally what it says. It unpaints what you painted. So if you don't want to have to, let's say you colored this arm and then you colored all these other things, you don't have to Control Z all the way back to the arm, and then be like, then you have to do the whole thing over again. Uh, you could just unpaint it and then paint it with a different color. So yeah, that's that's one thing. But yeah, you're gonna want to grab the paint bucket tool, and here's pretty much you want to be aware of what you're doing here. Uh, this button right here, you want to go to tool properties once you're on the paint bucket tool. You want to go to apply to all frames, and this is what's gonna save you a bunch of time. You could honestly go frame by frame and paint all of it, but that's gonna take you a ton of time. This is important. So click apply to all frames, and as you can see here, I have two different frames just so you can see what I'm talking about. So you have two different frames here. Imagine all this is like in between, and I got all the in betweens, breakdowns, keyframes, and stuff. But I only did this one just to save time because this is a tutorial and this isn't my shot. I think the shot's actually already done. Somebody else did it, but yeah, this I had two different frames here so you can see what I'm talking about. So now I clicked apply to all frames, click this, apply to all frames, and now here's this like pancake tool, create color art from line art. So make sure you're on the line art layer right now. I'm gonna go to Basil's head. So yeah, make sure you're on the line art layer. You're gonna wanna click this like pancake tool, the create color art from line art. Click it. All right, cool. Now we're gonna want to go to the color art layer. Make sure I have made the mistake before and accidentally colored on the line art layer before. Do not do that. Color on the color art layer, and then now we're going to grab Basil's fur. We're going to click this, and there you go. And as you can see, if you go back to the line art layer, it does it on all the frames. And you know, obviously, if these were all, uh, if all the inking was done for these frames in between, these would all be done as well. Um, and you just go ahead and do this with all the layers, and you know, I'll cut away, and then you know, I'll show you what it'll look like when it's done. So yeah. All right, guys. So now that I'm back and I'm done, and I colored this frame. This is what it'll look like on the right side. As you can see, it looks a little janky, but that won't be shown because you know, this right side will be rendered and painted. I just didn't do that for the sake of time. So let's look at the other frames and how they turned out because, well, you'll see. Okay, so now that we're over here, we could see that some of these didn't color correctly. And for the most part, they did. But that's okay. So to fix this, we're just going to turn off apply to all frames so you don't like screw it up. You are going to click, you know, let's just go to Basil's right eye, and you're just going to fill them in. Pretty much the same thing that you were doing previously. You know, you go to color. This is already done. Like the pancake tool was already done. You just got to you just got to fill them in now, pretty much. I see. So, yeah, that's an issue. Maybe that's why that didn't color correctly. So this is another one of the things I was telling you guys about in the previous tutorials. Just make sure that all your lines are, you know, I was doing this quick, so I just didn't even realize. But for you guys, that'll be a big pain in your butt if you guys don't figure that out beforehand. And then the last one is Rosemary's left arm. So essentially, not that much to fix, but this is what it'll look like when it's all done. And so next tutorial, I think it will be moving on to exporting your PNG sequences.